can we all agree to start playing the fucking objective? Hey, what's up guys, Irish Turtle here, and in today's video, I want to talk about a massive problem that I have been noticing building in Siege over the last few months in both casual and ranked. Now this problem is, as I said, a problem that occurs mainly in casual, but it's been slowly moving into ranked, and I think, quite frankly, in my eyes, it needs to stop. And that is people that avoid the objective and just disappear from it completely. Now, I'm not talking about your average team player where, two people go off the objective and leave 3 people to defend. That's absolutely fine. At the end of the day, you can roam like that as much as you want. What I'm talking about is when you're playing a game mode like Secure Area, Hostage, Bomb, or any of the game modes really, where you leave one person to defend the objective and the rest of the team roam away. This is a huge problem that I see it happening more and more often. Now, it doesn't happen like every single game, but I guarantee you'll have noticed it happen just as much as I have if you play anywhere near as much as I do, maybe even a bit less. I mean, and like I said, this is happening in casual as well as ranked, and it shouldn't be in ranked. Like, I was playing the other day in a gold bracket game with a couple of friends, and the enemy team left the objective completely unguarded to go and roam. We were playing Hostage, they went off to try and get kills from different locations. We just walked into the objective, took the hostage, walked out, and took the round. We didn't lose a single person, we didn't fire a single bullet pretty much, and we just took the hostage. And for the rest of the game, they defended that hostage pretty much perfectly. We still won, but the point was that we should never have been able to take him so easily in that first round. And this happens all over the place. You don't see it in high-end gameplay, but on my Smurf account, which a couple of friends and I were playing with, and we basically tanked to see how much this was happening in other ranked brackets. So I noticed it from pretty much gold 1 downwards, people were doing this. But the idea is people need to start playing the objective a bit more. Now, the examples I've given are kind of brief, but, I mean, in the gameplay in the background, this is a perfect example. At some point during this gameplay, I'm not kind of watching it right now when I'm speaking, but you'll see that we take an objective with no contention at all. We basically get onto it, plant the bomb, and then go off it. And you should never be able to do that in Siege. At no point should you ever be able to get onto a secure site, a bomb site, a hostage site, without firing a single bullet. If you can do that, the enemy team has completely fucked up. And I don't know, it just happens a lot, and I don't understand why people have suddenly started doing it. I mean, I was playing casual today, and, yes, it's casual, it's not as important, but when you're playing casual and 4 of your team leave the objective, if the enemy team decided to rush, that's it, you're fucked, because one person is not going to hold out against 5 players rushing an objective. It just isn't possible. I mean, if you're playing Chalet, and you're defending the room above bar, library, off the top of my head, and you're defending there, if your team is spread out, say in the basement, in the garage, in the kitchen, if your team are all over there, if the enemy team rush in, like happened to me today, once I'm dead, that's 4 enemy attackers who can then just hold down an objective while your team have to try and retake the site. Now you have to remember in Siege, the whole point is when you fortify a room, you're fortifying it from the inside to prevent people from getting in. And specifically, the attackers are given ability. Excuse me. Sorry. As I said, you're fortifying the room from the inside, and you're basically stopping enemies from being able to get into the objective. Now, you have to remember that the attacking operators are given abilities specifically to breach an object, to breach a room, to get into a room, and the defenders are given abilities to defend that room. If you've roamed outside of it and the enemy take it, it is much harder for you to retake that site than it is for the enemies to take it in the first place. Because you have to remember, you're not designed to attack an objective room that's fortified. So when you see this sort of thing happen, it's kind of one of those massively questionable moments. I mean, if you're playing on attack, right, and you've got a drone, and you notice that 4 of the enemy team ran out of the objective room after fortifying it, I guarantee going through your head right now, you're thinking, right, if we rush this objective, even if 2 of us went down, 3 of us could still really easily hold that objective because they've only got 2 doors to get in through. And you kind of sat there thinking, this should never be the case. Yes, you can roam, but you have to remember there are certain ways to roam. If you're desperate to be outside of the objective room, make sure you're only like a couple of rooms away or a couple of seconds away. Because if your teammate makes a call out saying, oh, you know, they're attacking the library, we need everyone back in here now, and your teammates are in the basement or the kitchen, they're going to be a couple of seconds away, or a couple more seconds away than they need to be. And then once the enemy actually hold that objective, your teammates might not have gotten back in time to help you and fortify that room. So I think as a whole, we need to start playing the objective just generally more. And even in casual, this is a major thing that needs to start happening. Now, I can hear a lot of you probably already saying, oh, it's casual, it doesn't matter, it's not as important. But I would like to point out to you, as the psychology major that I am, if you don't play it in a certain way in casual, you will tend to take over, even subconsciously, some of these play styles into ranked. If you're playing casual and you think, okay, I don't have to defend the objective, in ranked, subconsciously you might be thinking, okay, I don't have to defend the objective as much, and you might leave the objective when you really shouldn't. And this happens a lot more than you'd think. You probably don't even realise it's happening, but you'll be doing it a lot more often. So all I kind of have to say is, if you're one of these roaming players that likes to do it, take a moment and consider how many people are outside the objective room before you leave it, and who else might leave. And on top of that, if you're a castle player and you see 4 players on your team have roamed away from the objective room, do not castle your team out of the objective. That makes it literally 10 times harder for them to breach an objective. If there's like 2 windows and 2 doors into an objective and you castle the 2 doors and then the room gets taken, it's twice as hard for your teammates to take off those reinforced doors and then push into the room. You're putting your team at a disadvantage, and that is one of the major problems that I've noticed. Now, obviously, you know, this is just a big pet peeve that I've noticed happening a lot more recently, but I kind of want to hear from you guys now. Do you see this happening a lot in games? Because I have to be honest, I see it a hell of a lot more than I thought I ever would, especially on the lower ranks in ranked. And you've got to think, ranked is where this sort of shit shouldn't be happening. So I want to know from you guys, if you play ranked, what ranked bracket are you, and do you see this happening? Because if you do, I genuinely want to know, because it's an important thing. As if this does happen a lot, I would suggest start telling people, you know, this is not a good strategy, this doesn't work. Obviously, don't be harsh towards them and say, you know, you're shit, but just point out to them and say, okay, maybe we lost that round because 4 of us were outside the objective room. Maybe we lost that round because there were too many of us diverting our attention away from the objective. You know, just sort of little prompts here and there, pointing towards your team to just say to them things like, okay, well, they took the A bomb site that time really easily because nobody was watching it. And, you know, if someone then comes back and says, well, why weren't you watching it? You've got to say things like, I was watching the other bomb site. I was watching the B bomb site and covering that, and I couldn't cover both. Why weren't you guys doing that? And, you know, try not to get into an argument over it with people, but also try and nicely prompt them and just say things like, maybe if fewer of us have roamed this time, maybe if we pick like more defensive operators next time, just stick around the objective. It would start like making people think about what they're doing. One of the things I've done recently in ranked is, instead of getting triggered by players that fuck off from the objective, I'll wait until that round's over. I basically view it as a loss already. I'll try and hold out, but if we lose, it's not the end of the world. I kind of expect it. And then at the end of the round, I'll say a little thing like, oh, maybe we'd have done a little better if a few more of us had stayed on that objective. Maybe they wouldn't have taken the bomb site if we'd been watching it a little bit more carefully, or maybe, you know, we'd have defended the hostage a little bit better if 3 of us had been on him instead of just 1. You know, it's just nice little prompts here and there to make people aware of what they're doing. And if somebody is guaranteedly going to roam every single round, don't have a go at them, don't team kill them, just ignore them. Just pretend you're now playing with 4 players instead of 5. If that guy helps out and like takes out a few of the enemy players, that's great. If he doesn't, you know what, so be it, you've compensated for that. Make sure you try to work with your team, but also try and make sure you know that at the end of the day, you're not going to sacrifice a round because you're angry over it. Don't just throw a game because people aren't doing what you want, but try and point them towards the fact that maybe there's something better they could have been doing to help you avoid an objective. And at the end of the day, just remind them, play the fucking objective. Don't get angry over it, don't have a go at them, because you might end up playing with them again in a couple of rounds later, and they might just tilt and throw it just to irritate you and annoy you even more. So it's always worth remembering, you know, play the fucking objective. I can't say it enough. And hell, if you've got friends that don't play the objective enough, feel free to share this video with them. Give them a nice little thing and saying, you need to start fucking playing the objective more. You're an idiot. And if you're that friend that's been shared to this video, you're a fucking idiot. Your friend has referred you to this one because you're an idiot. Look at yourself. What the fuck is wrong with you? But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Obviously, if you did, feel free to hit that like button. Apologies for my voice and the cough a bit earlier on. I've got a bit of a cold at the minute. There's not a lot I can do about that. But other than that, guys, like I said, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Obviously, subscribe for more Rainbow Six Siege content coming soon. And I'll see you in the next one.